Okay, you are ready.
Good evening, everyone. We call to order the October 26th regular meeting of the Signal Mountain Town Council. As is our custom, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be followed by an invocation. And just a quick reminder, if anyone wants to ask someone to give an invocation, that opportunity always exists. But Sam or Boyd, have we heard from anyone who requested an invocation tonight?
No, sir.
So we'll observe a moment of silence after the pledge. So Sam, if you'll bring up a flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. It's time for roll call. Because we're doing electronic meetings, Carol White is going to do an audio roll call.
Vice Mayor Bill Lusk is not present. Council Member Cheryl Graham.
Here.
Council Member Susanna Murdoch.
Here.
Mayor Dan Landrum.
Here. We have no minutes to be approved tonight, so we'll move right on to citizens' opportunity to address council. And Sam has informed us that we have 2 citizens that have requested to participate. Before we get to that, I should mention that you can still participate even if we're having Zoom meetings. The next one might be a dual meeting where it's partially live and partially here as well. So just watch for the email blast on that. But Sam, if you want to bring the first person in and let me know.
Be Miss Greisinger first.
Is Claire here?
She should be coming in at this time.
It is showing that she's muted.
Hello.
Hi, Claire. State your name and address, and then the next 3 minutes belong to you.
Oh, can you see me on there?
We do not.
Oh, good.
That's not what we think, but go ahead.
Okay, so then this is my 3 minutes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, it just popped on all of a sudden and I couldn't figure out what was going on.
It's okay.
Claire Greisinger, 40 Carriage Hill. And have some website questions and wanted to find out after they're approved, how are the town council minutes added to the town website?
All right, go ahead with the rest of your time and we'll bring those questions up later if they fit.
Also, any suggestions from the council or staff on a way to make the minutes available to residents in a timely manner? The last minutes on the town website are July 13th. It's 3.5 months ago. And it has been about a year since I had asked about attachments referenced in the minutes. So I've been very patient. And of course, the council told me to fill out an open record request for attachments. So there ain't any updates on that. It's been quite a long time. So that I'll, find out, will there be any included in the minutes that reference them anytime soon? Also wanted to find out if the missing budgets can be put on the website 2018-19, 2019-20 are not there, so that residents can go and look at those. The budgets, the years before those are available. Those are missing. And I have asked, of course, over quite a few months off and on about adding the names of the members for the town boards to the website with, contact information and the date that their term is up. And of course, if a committee member doesn't want their information included, just the name of the committee they're on and when their term is up. So I wondered if there's any ideas on that, any progress on that. So I hope my comments they'll probably be considered complaints. I put them under transparency. Anyway, they're, just minutes, attachments, budgets, and town board members are sort of the things I'm asking about that I hope you don't take as complaints. I just get kind of frustrated, especially not being able to get hold of minutes for months at a time. So anyway, thanks for listening. I don't know how to sign off.
All right, Claire, thank you. And I'll address a couple of these things because they fall into some other projects that we're trying to get moving anyway. So I made a note here to mention this during the reports from committees and boards. So thank you. All right.
Our next person is David Cantrell, and I'll bring him in at this time.
For the record.
David, can you hear us? Looks like he's muted still.
He is. And I apologize. It always takes just a minute for them. There's no way for me to let someone know that I'm about to bring them in. So it's probably always just a bit of a shock for them to all of a sudden be brought in. So it just a moment of catch up time for them.
Sure. Maybe you could text them.
How about now? You got it?
Yeah, we have you now, David.
Okay, thanks. So I have the floor, I guess.
Well, you have to do your name and address, and then you have to.
All right, David Cantrell, 105 South Drive. And I just wanted to update you guys on the BZA's activity. I'm the chairman. I've been on the committee about 10 years, and just let you guys know, in addition to hearing variance requests, we also approve special exceptions and permits for things like daycare centers, farmers markets, and even like the columbarium at the Presbyterian Church. But our last three cases, I'll update you on. The first one was August 27th on 1141 James Boulevard. That was BZA case 2020-06. And they wanted to have their pool go into their front yard by 20 feet, which is against regulation 820. So that was denied. But we told them if they reduced it, we might be willing to rehear the case. So they came back September 24th, and we did talk this over with the town attorney, and he approved it because the new request was so much different. It was 75% less than the previous request. So they requested to protrude in the side yard 5 feet past the front of the house, and that was approved. And we agreed to approve it because it's 165 feet from the street. So they have far more than a 40-foot setback in the front yard. And the last case, August 27th, 565 North Palisades. That was BZA case 2020-5. They asked for a 12-foot front variance, so they move the house closer to the street and to the bluff. And on their application, they said they wanted to improve the view and the value of their house. The board, 60% of the board found we had adequate room to build, honoring the front setback and the Teedat Creek boundary. It's a 4-acre lot, and it looked like only 3 medium to small trees would need to be removed. And I'd say 2/3 of the lot's heavily treed toward the back. And as you guys probably know, we can't give variances for view, value, or trees. So the variance was denied. And Bob Greisinger did some research, and we found out from the water board, I think that's what they're called, that that 60-foot barrier from the creek should be an average. So they might be able to move that barrier back a few feet as long as it averages 60 feet along the length of the property. So those are our last three cases. And just to let you guys know, the BZA format's been in place for about 40 years. And as you guys asked in one of the meetings, the only appeal from us is court. So there's no appeal to the town council. And I think that's strictly to keep politics out of the process, because it's tough to say no to your neighbors, you know, when they come before the board. And that's about it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
No, but I certainly appreciate that. That's great.
All right. Yeah, because we don't do this enough. So I just want to come
Yeah.
update you, see how things are going.
All right.
That's informative. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
We have no other citizens requesting.
No other citizens. Okay. Let me get back into the council packet. Okay. So folks, we have an ordinance. We just have a couple of things. This will be an easy meeting. But to be clear, this ordinance that is up now, it's a second reading to change the number of members on the personnel committee. And I wanted to say something before someone makes a motion for approval, just to make sure that everyone is clear. If we vote with just 3 people here and it passes by a 2-to-1 majority, that's a fail, because it requires a majority of the council to pass. And you would have to have 3 people. And as I've said the last couple of meetings, I don't think this is a good idea. And I just I'm tipping my hat, which you probably recognized anyway, because my head's showing, that you know, I'd be voting no, and that would mean a fail. And I feel like that would be sneaky on my part. So if someone wanted to, you know, make a move to vote, we could do that. I'm not going to do that. And one of you guys can. You could also make a motion that we table this. And then when we have a full council again, we could even hold it until we had a new council seated, since it's so close to that. With that in mind, I'll be quiet. And does anyone want to say anything?
I'd like to make a motion to deny, actually. Had time, since we have put this off for a bit, time to think about it. And I mean, we're overwhelmed with so many great applicants, but the more I've thought about it, I do not think it's a good idea to expand the committee.
I happen to actually agree with that.
Okay, this is surprising.
Yes.
It's
Well, it's
still
a woman's prerogative to change her mind.
Yes, it is.
No, for me, I really have spent a lot of time studying all of the candidates' qualifications who've applied to participate. And, you know, we've sat on it for a couple of weeks, and the people who so graciously offered to participate on our personnel committee are all just great. And so, you know, it seemed like a good idea at the time to me to expand the format. The personnel committee hasn't met for a while. I thought it was a good opportunity to get some more citizen involvement. So, you know, so it did seem like a good idea. Well, then after we decided to expand the size of the committee, we got 2 more applications from 2 more very well qualified candidates. And so then I was, you know, spent more time sort of trying to figure out, like, well, how should we do this? And really I started to think, you know, we have a council of 5. Our town council has 5 members, and 7 members on a personnel committee seems like a lot to me in that context. And given the fact that we have some candidates who've submitted their qualifications that have a background in human resources, who I think could really make some solid contributions to this committee, I think that we should stick with a 5-person format.
all right. So we have a motion. Cheryl made a motion. Susanna, were you seconding her motion?
I will second her motion.
Harry, I want to be clear. We have a motion and a second to deny the ordinance. this is the second reading. That's the way this would go, or should this be a positive motion that gets voted up or down? Since the first motion was a motion to approve. It's the second reading of a motion to approve. I want to make sure we do it right.
I think you may get the same place, but a motion to deny on second reading is proper.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to deny, Carol, take a roll call vote.
Councilmember Cheryl Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Susanna Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Dan Landrum.
Yes. All right, so now that does put us in a situation where we can vote, moving to resolutions now. The Personnel Committee appointment, and we could table that until we have a full council. Or we could vote now. Again, I'm more comfortable in full participation, but if we're in the same situation where you've got 3 people present. Now, this is not an ordinance, so a 2-to-1 majority probably is valid in this case. Boyd, Harry, is that correct?
I believe so.
Any thoughts on that, folks?
The only thing I would say maybe is that because I'm sorry that Bill's not here to participate in this discussion, but the 3 of us have been studying these applicants and kind of tossing this hot potato around for a little while. And I know we have Cheryl is running, but we don't know who the 3 new members are going to be. And it might just be a good idea to go ahead and kind of get this settled so that we don't have this old business hanging
Cheryl,
over us. That's my opinion.
About that, Cheryl? Okay.
I agree. I think that committee has waited far too long to have a quorum even to make decisions and discussions. And I just don't see any need in waiting any longer. We don't have to.
You know, and my feeling, I'll say this, let's try this. You know, I think a 5-person committee is probably going to be sufficient. If we feel like we need more involvement next year, we can by all means bring this back up and, you know, have the conversation again.
With that in mind, I'd like to nominate Angela Bandy to be a new member of the Personnel Committee.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just,
Boyd, you look like you want to say something.
yeah. If this is going to be a preliminary step, you can proceed as you are. If you want to move to the actual appointment, you'll need to read the caption for that resolution.
Okay, I can do that. Carol, is that in the bottom of the packet?
Mine is existing right behind the applicants.
Okay, so it's at the bottom after the applicants. Let me get down there.
And this Angela Bandy is the second resolution in the stack. I could read the heading if that would help.
Yeah, because there's so many of them in there. If you'll read that, that'd be great. Thank you.
A resolution appointing Angela Bandy as a member of the Town of Signal Mountain Personnel Committee.
Any additional discussion?
Carol, will you take a roll call vote? Go ahead, Boyd.
Before you do, one thing we will need to do, we have one vacancy with a term that expires at the end of 22, one that expires at the end of 21, and then So we'll need to stipulate which of those this appointment is for, to expire 12/31/2021 or 2022.
Angela is highly qualified for this position. Do I need to withdraw my motion, or do you think we can just stipulate that this is the one that ends in 2022 with
I would just add that to your motion.
Susanna, or do you concur?
I concur.
Your second?
Yes.
Harry, are we okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. I'm hesitant to say the one that ends in 2022.
And we'll put that in proper form before you come by to sign the official copy.
Sure. Now, Carol, will you take a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Cheryl Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Susanna Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Dan Landry.
Yes.
Can I nominate someone? I'd like to nominate Kathy Corley to serve on one of the spots, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
This would be for the spot that ends in 2021. Are you guys both clear on that?
Yes.
All right. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say that Kathy is clearly very well qualified too. I think both of these women have a background in human resources, so I think they'll bring a lot of good experience to the table.
All right. Any further discussion? Not hearing you, Carol.
Caption.
Say it one more time.
Do you want me to read the caption?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
A resolution appointing Catherine Corley as a member of the Town of Signal Mountain Personnel Committee.
Okay. I think we're ready for roll call.
Councilmember Cheryl Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Susanna Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Dan Landry.
Yes. All right, moving on. We have no specific discussion items tonight. And I do want to mention that.
Dan, excuse me,
yes, sir.
We have 3 existing openings.
Oh, we had a third opening. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
So Cheryl, I don't want to, did you want to nominate someone?
No, you took one, Kathy Corley, so.
Okay. Well, I'd like to nominate Elizabeth Baker to serve on the Personnel Committee as well.
Do we have a second?
Second. And this is for the expiration of 2021 also, correct?
Yes.
Have any discussion? I was going to, if I nominated someone else, going to nominate Erin Goddard because she brings more of a diversity background to our committees, which is one of the things that we've talked about doing. So if I don't vote for Elizabeth Baker, just want everybody to understand where I'm coming from on that, because I think it would be a good idea, as we've talked, to have a greater diversity within our town committees and boards.
I 100% agree with that. I was having such a struggle. I've narrowed it down to people who really had past experience working in human resources, and that's what I had to do to kind of determine how to rank.
Yeah, no question, Elizabeth qualified, and she's a data fan.
But I love Erin's application and what she has to say, and I embrace her sentiment. So I hope that she'll want to participate in this if it doesn't work out today.
All right, Carol, will you take a roll call vote?
Heading,
Yes, please.
a resolution appointing Elizabeth Baker as a member of the Town of Signal Mountain Personnel Committee. Councilmember Cheryl Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Susanna Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Dan Landrum.
Yes. So hopefully Erin will volunteer to serve on another committee. I hope. Let's all reach out to her.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, in the discussion section, we have a lot of things to discuss, and we have, just for anyone watching this, we have the police chief's been working on a report to give to us. The fire chief's been working on a report to give to us. The our stormwater director, Cliff Fight, has been asked and is planning to come and give the stormwater report that we submitted to TDEC to us. We just have several things that we need to discuss, but it seems to make sense until the new council is seated to wait for those items, because they're a good primer into the kinds of things that the town's going to be dealing with, for this upcoming year. So, lest you think the council is just doesn't think we have anything to discuss, we do, but it just makes sense for us to wait right now. Moving on to the manager's report. Boyd, this is yours.
Yep. You touched on a couple of those. We are working on the fire and police pay studies. Those departments have done a good bit of work on that. We've also participating in the Burris Thompson salary study. This is something we used when we were looking at the water department and the organization there. So we're doing that as well. Had a kickoff meeting for the LPRF grant project with Marion and Driver Field. Sam got that set up. It went very well. We're looking at a start time of around the 1st of January. We'd hoped to expedite that, but in discussing it and looking at exactly what needs to be done and things like sod growing in and all that, pushing the start date forward, so I'm really wasn't going to help the project. So yeah, it would have been better for the contractor, so we're going to go ahead and go with that. Also in rec, just want to let you know we've got a donation from Signal Mountain Youth Baseball. I think it was a little over $3,000 to go towards lighting at Hedges Field, which would expand the use of that space. So that'll help a lot. We're looking at probably about another $1,500 to go with that to get that up and going. And it's my understanding the other leagues are going to participate by way of reimbursing the baseball league for some of that money, but they fronted it as the donation so we could start working on that. That's much appreciated. Library addition project is moving forward. Had meetings on that, met with the architects. They provided the 50% plans, which really lay out the project. Some of the more technical drawings are yet to come, but it's taking shape very well. Earlier this month, I had informed council that I was going to be attending training and was able to do that. So I had 16 hours of required CMFO continuing ed. As it stands right now, November 3rd through the 5th, I'm scheduled for the city managers conference where I should be able to get the rest of the required training. With things going as they are, I'm not real sure that's going to take place, but we'll see. Other projects, the stream bank stabilization project on Bird Trail is moving forward. You guys approved it just a little while ago, but we had some issues with access and easements and all with the adjacent property owners. just something that needed to be worked out, and we were able to do that, have everything we need in place now, so that will be moving forward. And the only other thing, just wanted to let you know that the request for an easement on town property for a septic field line over in the Windy Way area, that request has been withdrawn. Good. That's all I have today.
All right. The communications from those of us. We had a library board meeting, and we saw the surfaces, textures, colors, and just the accoutrements for what the library is going to look like, and it is beautiful. Can't wait. That's an exciting project.
That's gonna be gorgeous.
Yeah, I was gonna be super proud of the way that looks and feels inside. So that's exciting. To touch on, what some of the items that were brought up earlier in the meeting, all of these, for the most part, are wrapped around the website, and as is our email system. We're dealing with an antiquated website from a service that, at conferences and things, when I talk to folks from other towns, that I want to be careful because the company we use provides a service that is very useful to us, and it's been useful, but their web services are not the best, and we've been talking about this for a couple of years. The ball a little bit is, I think, in your court, Boyd, on putting together a committee, you or Sam, so that we actually begin to look at what the website should be. Local government has done some preliminary work, but that's not something that, even if I thought I was qualified, I would do as a volunteer on my own. That's just asking for trouble. So I think it would be fantastic if the town pulled together a committee so that we jump on that and get it done. And along with that, we need to do our email switch over. And I think we should hire outside. We even set aside money in the budget for that, if you remember correctly. That was the one thing that got added at the end. What's our next step on that, Boyd, on those two things?
Really, I think that's it. Just direction on how we want to approach it. I can pull, for the most part, I think would be department heads together in a few focus meetings to see exactly where the weak points are, what we're lacking, that will point us in the direction of what we need.
What do you think? And I'm not suggesting this, I'm asking if you think this is a reasonable idea. Obviously, there needs to be some citizen input involved in this thing, and there's a good chance we might have some local folks, and they would have to have the understanding that they wouldn't be being interviewed to make a website for us. But if we have people that might be interested in helping out with that, I think it would be good to get some citizen input as well. Could we use the email blast to perhaps, maybe for the next meeting, could you craft something so that we can look at that as to what we might send out, saying what our goals, it would be our responsibility to come up with the objectives, the goals and objectives for this project, from a 50,000 foot level. And if we could state that clearly, we might make it better for us to put that kind of committee together.
Yes, sir.
Good
That's all I
idea.
have. Thanks.
I wanted to bring something up. I read this account. It was an article. I can't even remember where it was, but it basically was talking about how utilities across the country, in some places, have opted to give their grace periods, let them go, so that, and I think maybe with our water utility at the end of September, we were going to resume shut-off practices for people that couldn't pay their bills due to the coronavirus pandemic. But I read this account in this article about this woman who had lost her water She was unable to pay her bill. She was unable to work. And she had been in the hospital with corona, and she came home and her water had been shut off, and it was just heartbreaking to read. And she was able to get it turned back on and make payment arrangements. But I wanted to bring this subject up because I'm not sure even how many residents of the mountain took advantage of the grace that we were offering them if they were having a hard time paying their water bill. But I think it's a worthwhile conversation to have, to maybe look at, with winter coming on and cases surging, even if we only helped a couple of families up here, it sure would mean a lot to them. It would mean a lot to me too, if we could make a provision to, I don't know, provide grace, tell them to get on a payment plan, whatever. I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts about that.
I think we did, the last time it was discussed, council agreed to push that back to, I believe, November.
Oh, okay.
Through October. So that period is coming up.
Yeah.
But we have not reinstated normal cutoff procedures and all of that at this time.
I don't know if we want to put a date on it, if we want to leave it open-ended, if we want to, communicate to people that they can contact us to make payment arrangements, or.
We have for some time worked with folks, and even before the COVID-19 scenario, we would work with people on payment arrangements and all of that. So really, it was just the late fees and not shutting people off. And I can't tell you either how many folks have been helped by that, but I don't think it has been a terrible detriment to the utility in terms of lost revenue or anything.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, even if you help one family, it would, or one person, that could make a big difference in that person's life. So
Boyd, can you check and see if what we decided as staff direction was to November or through November? And if it was to November, can we perhaps agree tonight to at least hold that until you can give us a bit of a report back on, and we see where we are, and always, we've got a little bit of time, but not much time. We won't have another meeting before November.
I think it would be interesting to know, just in general. I mean, we don't need to know who it is, but just if we've had families that, that needed that kind of help.
We've been tracking that already. We've had, my observation is that we have helped several customers even recently with payment arrangements and payment agreements and working out payment plans with these folks. But we've been ongoing for so long, unless we've been kind of keeping track as we went along, I don't know how we would go back and say, because a lot of folks, we said, well, currently we're not assessing any late fees and we're not doing cutoffs. So if you could go ahead and self-implement a payment plan, that would help you as we get closer to that time when we do have to start making some decisions about that, that it might be an easier situation. So we have several people that did opt to do that also. And so we haven't really been tracking that particular information.
I understand.
Thank you for that, Carol.
And maybe we could, when the time comes, we could just decide if we want to continue or modify it.
If you're comfortable with postponing any action at least till the next meeting, then we'll review what was discussed and see if we can put any more detail to what we've seen.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Any other business?
Nope.
All right. If you take a look at the tentative agenda, for next time. It has all the things on it that might be, it'll be a busy meeting, that first meeting when the council's seated. So,
And a lot of this simply was a matter of putting it on this agenda so that it stayed on the radar. It may very well be that you feel we should spread it out a little bit, but the things that we discussed potentially for this meeting, since we went with such a light agenda, I wanted to at least put it on the following meeting just to make it clear that it hasn't been forgotten. It just seemed to make sense that a lot of these things wait till after we get our new folks seated.
sure. And Harry, are you planning on council orientation training? If I remember correctly, back when Phil used to do it, he served us, we got the choice of any meal we wanted. And I think he had live entertainment, but not to put pressure on you.
I'm not sure
Yes,
those will
yes.
be included any longer.
That's still the case. You just have to bring it in a brown paper bag.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you
you
going to
can
do
eat
some,
whatever you bring.
whatever you want? Yeah. Are you going to do some formal training?
Yeah, Boyd sent me some of what Phil had used in the past, and we'll do something.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything else we need to deal with? If not, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for the opportunity to work in this wonderful town. We are adjourned.